Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush amdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen, ishbata.
Bakhair Angele, Ni Hao, Tuna Shume, Washmole, Hi Gonzaimes, Guten Morgen, Ola, Boyor, Privyet, Kaifahal, Halish Machatore, Ahlan Wasalan Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabia, Balli Kereaya, and thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into BDB World. You're definitely watching what this morning, alongside the very fantastic, amazing, superb, educated, and the very passionate, ladies and gentlemen. She happens to be Miss Shaza Hashmi. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is ready to kickstart their day with us. Hello, Shaza. How are you doing today?
I am doing stunningly great. Thank
I
you
know
so
that.
much for asking.
I know why you're doing great as well. No problem. Yeah, go ahead.
So how's your morning, and then you let me know why do you think I'm doing
Well,
great.
I think my mornings are going good, and it's because of the fact that now, even if you're waking up at 7 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning, it's not that difficult because it's not that cold finally. And, you know, to decide that, hey, you know what, whether I need to get out of my quilt or not, I think it's just more, it just got more easier because we are actually experiencing a transition from cold to kind of very tropical weather over here in Islamabad. Yesterday the weather was superb. You really didn't need a jacket. You could just roam around in your half sleeves t-shirt, you know, show off your biceps or triceps or whatever you want to do. So I kind of felt great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
What about you? How do you feel?
absolutely great. You know, this is now eventually turning into my favorite kind of weather because, well, my phone says for the next 3 days it is definitely going to rain. But we are going to trust whatever the Met Department says, you guys. There have been times when my phone has wronged me, so definitely that is that. But it was so stunning in the morning, Shahzad, and especially I feel like this kind of weather is made for Islamabad.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
So you know what I did? So while I was on my way towards work, what I actually did was that I went into my playlist and I kind of played a track which actually had 10 or 20 old school tracks from early 1990s, and that's what I was listening to. And the weather kind of did really was very supportive to kind of reminisce over all of those songs and, you know, the hook lyrics as well. So I felt great. But other than that, Shiza, I actually have a very strong message to give today for everybody who's out there. So how over here in Islamabad, you know, people want to socialize, and that too post-COVID, everybody wants to go outside, you know, go out for lunch or dinner or burgers or sandwiches or milkshakes or whatever they want. So imagine that just yesterday, because a lot of people were saying, hey, you know what, this place opened up and it's fantastic. This place opened up and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought, hey, you know what, let's go over there.
Okay.
And I went over there. We shouldn't say that about food, but ladies and gentlemen, I think that the restaurant was absolutely overrated. They overcharged us as well.
Oh.
And I didn't really like it. You know, the service was pathetic as well. I'm not going to name it, but just for the sake of people saying that, hey, something will be good, I think you still really need to go and judge it yourself. And to my expectations, it wasn't really over here. I think it was somewhere here. So for all of those people who listen to all of those socialites of Islamabad, that, hey, you know what, you need to go to this place. Please make sure that you kind of know before going whether it's going to serve you with that kind of expectation or not.
Well, Shahzad, you know what? While you're talking about this, you're actually highlighting something so important.
Yes.
Because the influencer culture, it is so common, right?
They just take money and then, you know, kind of say good things about people
Right.
or the restaurants.
And in all honesty, laymen like me, if I have to go out to a new place, I actually open food bloggers or, well, food influencers page to see what's new, to see what's not.
Yeah.
And sometimes we are definitely directed in the wrong direction. Sorry it happened to you, but you guys do your own research, definitely.
Exactly, that's important, which is why, you know, let me ask you whether you did your research on Pakistan Super League or not.
Oh my God.
What does your research say about
My
Pakistan
research
Super League?
says it's I mean less of a research and more of a prediction. Inshallah, Multan Sultans is going into the finals. But you tell me what happened yesterday.
All right, so nothing happened yesterday, and it was because of the fact that it was a break. And yes, obviously, you know, the playoffs are going to get started from today onwards as well.
Right.
Where when we look at the points table, Multan Sultan, Lahore Qalandars, and Peshawar Zalmi plus Islamabad United are the 4 teams which have made it to the playoffs as well. Today it's going to be Lahore Qalandars versus Multan Sultans, and then tomorrow it's going to be the first eliminator and then the second eliminator, and then on 26th we'll give rest to both the teams who are, I mean, all those teams which will be participating in the final on the 27th of February, which is going to be on Sunday. And PSL has done it, you know. It was a great season. Everybody did enjoy it. A lot of foreign players came down to Pakistan. And I think this was the first ever season which is going to complete all its matches, that too on the Pakistani turf. So I think it's great. Let's hope for the best. And let me show you, you know, how the people are going to qualify or the teams are going to qualify. We have another chart to share with you guys. If you can do that, Mr. Producer, please put it on the screen. We want it now. Yes, so that's how it is. you know, it's a little far away. So Multan Sultans and Lahore Qalandars match is going to be today, which is going to be another qualifier, and then, you know, it totally depends on the teams as well. On the other hand, it's Peshawar Zalmi and Islamabad United, and then obviously the two teams are going to come up front as well, because one of them, after playing one match, will actually reach the finals as well. So this is very important. Let's see which team is going to win the match today, because they will automatically be in the final. All right, let's do that.
This is really interesting. I mean, eventually, finally, we are going towards the finals. And where you said that this is the first time all the matches are on Pakistani soil, we're really, really happy and proud of that, especially since the last one had to close down because of the COVID situation too. So alhamdulillah for everyone being healthy as well.
Wow, that's wonderful. So you did really, your homework was done and was very much
I try.
as per my expectation as well. But now coming down to Shiza, and I believe that this is the most important aspect, because ever since we were growing up, you know, how our parents would always tell us, "Puttar padhenga nahi to chaprasi ban jayenge." You know, and there's no harm in being a chaprasi anyways, God forbid. You know, for anybody who's listening, I'm just quoting what our parents used to tell us. And I thought that, hey, you know what, ever since I was told that, I thought this is so wrong on so many levels as well. And, you know, you just have to be careful with my ear. You know, it's very loud. So very quickly, what I'm going to share over here is that we really need to change that culture. And there's a need for that culture to be changed because of the fact that, one, obviously, that was a very derogatory statement to say to anybody.
Of course.
Or look at Mubarak Saab's son and look at you know, you're not scoring, you won't get a good job. So we were always tamed in a mindset where we always were looking for jobs.
True.
And not many people were trained to have their own businesses or to be entrepreneurs as well. And even if they were, the debate was, hey, father, can you lend me this much money? I need to start my own business. And every time you said that to a father, you know, like my father, he would be like, Putter, you know, when we started doing all of it, you know, we never asked for money. In fact, you know, we generated money from our own hands, we invested it, we reinvested it, and that's why we are here. And to me, I was like, hey, you know what, if it is that simple, why can't everybody do that?
True. I don't think it's that simple, in all honesty. And you're absolutely right, Shahzad. You and I, we belong to the generation with the mindset of finding
we belong
jobs.
to the same generation, by the way.
Of course, I'll agree on that.
There were a few years when she wasn't even around, but yes.
Right. We have been looking for jobs, and that has been our mindset. And I feel like, Shahzad, now with my siblings, because they're so much younger to me as well, I'm finding it hard to sort of mentor them in a way whenever they come up with questions to me. They are of an entirely different mindset, and I want to support them in their ambitions. But for that, I'll have to learn myself as well. And today, I'm going to learn with you guys. But we'll give you a short preview of what we are talking about, the startup culture in Pakistan, in just less than a minute. Take a look at it, and we'll come back.
This is just going, these 60 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, will be worth it. Go ahead, take a listen.
Let's do it.
Many startups turn to others for more funding, including family, friends, and venture capitalists. Silicon Valley is known for its strong venture capitalist community and is a popular destination for startups, but is also widely considered the most demanding arena. Startups can use seed capital to invest in research and to develop their business plans. Market research helps determine the demand for a product or service, while a comprehensive business plan outlines the company's mission statement, vision, and goals, as well as management and marketing strategies. Empowering the youth is the mission of the present government of Pakistan, and to make this dream come true, Prime Minister of Pakistan has launched Kamyab Jawan program, in which the youth entrepreneurship schemes promote entrepreneurship among the youth by providing business loans on simple terms and with less markup through 21 on-board commercial, Islamic, and SME banks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so without any further ado, we will be actually introducing our wonderful guests over here in the studios. Took them a little longer to be back on the show, but finally they are, because they weren't around in Pakistan. You know, finally he's here. He's like a younger brother. Well, that's something I would like to call him, but it looks like an older brother as well. But before I kind of introduce him, he's got another guest with him, which I would certainly want to introduce, because this gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, happens to be that person who's giving us that mindset that you really can have a newer idea which will fulfill the needs of the people, millions of people out there as well, and that how you really need to be an entrepreneur. And if the idea is perfect, you know, he's actually what do we call it? There's the right term for that, you know, because NUS do it and HEC do it as well.
Right. What
you know how this support the startups as well.
The incubation center?
Yeah, the incubation center. So the idea is similar, but this incubation center, ladies and gentlemen, the way he says it, says it's on steroids. If they like it,
Oh,
let's see what they have to share about that as well. We're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the executive chairman and entrepreneur himself, executive chairman of Deen Ventures. He is Mr. Zakaria Jandua. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, alongside him, the gentleman I was talking about, a kind-hearted, a wonderful imagination, and not just imagination. I think whenever he talks about his own country, motherland, Pakistan, he seriously wants to serve it. He has been serving the country for a longer period of time, and whenever you kind of come across him, he's one of those gentlemen who will always give you a very positive energy and then a back on your tab as well, that hey, you know what, you can actually do wonderful in life and wonderful in world as well, and that's the kind of people you really need to have around you as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he actually happens to be the Director General Pakistan House, which is a think tank. He is Mr. Athar Rana. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. Pretty good, actually.
Wow.
Wonderful
Younger
to see
brother,
you.
it's good to have you here on the show.
Thank you very much. You are actually my younger brother. You know that. But it's
Wonderful,
lovely to have back here. And actually, I enjoyed previous our encounters, which had been absolutely fantastic. I mean, not only the energy level, the way you give both of you energy in the morning, these doses of, I mean, they're not very harsh intellectual doses.
Yep.
They're the one you needed.
Yep.
When you said just this morning when you were talking off the camera that the beautiful thing today is that I could have gotten up earlier easily because less dark, more sun is coming out, less cold, and also the PSL.
Yeah.
And that makes it the 1 day rest made you also rest because you work a lot.
It did. Give me a
And
lot
she's
of that.
also, I have to say that I haven't been back for a few years, but we do watch your programs. And the best thing which I have learned during these couple of years when I was not here, I come, of course, on PDB World in the, in current affairs all the time. But the best thing I learned is that remarkable research you guys carry out in a very short period of time.
Thank you.
Because
It means a
we
lot.
did what we just, did this, we call it night assault on Jamshed Saab, and we have a guest from England for a few days.
Yeah.
And my job basically is to facilitate and find the Pakistani diaspora, the good brains, those who can come back to Pakistan and serve and mentor our youngsters. So this is one of the reasons that I could be found in these kind of programs, as you have invited me.
And,
And hence we have Mr. Zakaria as well today, alongside you as well. So, I know, Shizad, that you wanted to get started with the conversation, but since I've got the chance, I think I would like to do that as well. Well, Mr. Zakaria, so let's get started. We certainly want to talk about Deen Ventures as well. But before we do that, we would like to kind of know you in the first place, that how you got to a point where you wanted to support all of those entrepreneurs or people who think they can be entrepreneurs as well. How did you become one of those people who are going to be who's going to give hopes to so many other gentlemen out there or women?
I think my entrepreneurship journey actually started when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I
What were
was
you doing?
I was actually selling football stickers in the playground.
Wonderful.
There was a time, I mean, it seems a long time ago now, but when I was 6, I was actually earning more money than my mother on the playground.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I got caught by my father because I had so much loose cash under my bed.
Where did you save it? Oh,
In London, there was the bank of bedroom. It was underneath my bed. And then I think my mum was cleaning the room and she looked in, there's a big box and there's all these brown coins. And she goes, well, where did this come from? And I said, oh, I've been selling football stickers. And my father's a very traditional Pakistani man, education, religion, and cricket. And, so they found all this cash and then I had to divulge that, I made this money. My father wasn't happy, but that was probably the instinct that I had, that I enjoyed creating ideas, solving problems, generating cash, etc., etc. So that was probably the
and which is why there was a reason why I asked you this question, and certainly obviously after that you really had to kind of change the mindset around you as well. Because imagine, I mean, what else do we want if a 6-year-old can do that, that too better than his mother?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what we want every other child to do. Obviously education is important, we're not saying that education is not, but this mindset is important. So how did you change this mindset around you?
I think I'll probably inspire my grandfather, Rahimullah, when he was alive, Haji Muhammad Yusuf.
Yep.
Because when I graduated from university, his recommendation was go and work for the large corporates, but learn your trade. So I worked incredibly hard, and I shouldn't really say this because, other people to judge,
Yep.
but deep down I know how much hours I was putting in, personal development. So my office hours will finish around 6 o'clock in the evening. I will stay up to about 9:30, and I was reading books. By the time I got to business school, when I was doing my executive MBA, I had read over 500 books in different topics: finance, corporate finance, human resources, logistics. So in my first year of my MBA, everything they were teaching me, I actually learned it 6 years ago, and then I actually applied it in the industry. So I actually took some time out to learn industry, learn how to, understand the dynamics of markets, etc. And then when I was in my mid-30s, then I decided to move into my entrepreneurial journey. But by then, I had conditioned myself.
And it still looks like as if you're still in your mid-30s.
Oh, thank you very much.
There, because I'm still in my mid-20s as well, which is why I think we really need to kind of talk about that. It's beautiful, sir. And it's because of the fact that you were way ahead from what you were being taught as well. And that's something which a lot of parents might not even understand. If they know that, their child is brighter, smarter, they would certainly want him to go to a better university, which you did as well. And now when you actually started your entrepreneur journey yourself, why do you think there was a need for you to actually create an incubation center, and that too on steroids? Because people do take a lot of time when you give them a proposal, an idea. And in addition to that, there's this perception over here within Pakistan that, for all of those people who are going to support you on the initial days, when you are actually running a startup, what they think is that, okay, the maximum profit is going to go to the people who are actually sponsoring that as well. So please make sure that you refer to that.
A couple of things then. I would always say to any parent that the wellness, mental wellness of your child is the most important thing.
True.
Your child should be inspired by something, by a mission. So even if your child wants to become the best baker in the world, as long as they're happy, that's more important.
True.
So I wouldn't categorize parents by saying, look, you must become an engineer, you must become a doctor, because in fairness, my father and my mother were like that too. They said, look, I was kind of thrusted into computer science because my mum all said, computer science is the way forward. My father goes, oh, that sounds really good. You, Zakaria, you're going to become a computer scientist. So I wouldn't recommend that at all. Now, we talk about incubation. We'll have to go to a bit of basics here, because at very high level, businesses kind of go through 3 phases. Okay, they go through an early stage phase where, let's say, the 4 of us have created an idea. It's on a piece of paper, and then the idea is the concept is to take that idea into a live business and take it out to market. So that's the first stage, okay, the early stage. Then you've got the very exciting one, which is the high growth stage, where businesses really are rapidly growing. And that's where you see today in Pakistan, we have Airlift, we have, Sada Pay, all these great companies which are really picking up. And then the third stage is the mature stage. And this is where there are large corporations, etc. And this is where your parents want you to work. Okay. So in the first phase, it's incredibly hard because 90% of the businesses are going to fail. Okay. And that failure has a very profound impact on how people think, because failure is conceived to be a bad thing. It's not. I've learned a lot of things in life from all the businesses that I failed. It's really conditioned me. So getting through that first phase is very, very important. And incubating is one of 3 or 4 different solutions. What we've created in Dean Ventures is a venture studio, which is like an incubation on steroids, because incubation, by and large, is saying, well, let's get as many businesses as we can into this floor, and one of them may be successful. Okay. Well, venture studio is not like that. Venture studio is saying, hey, you've got a great idea. Come to us, because we have all the skills, whether it's artificial intelligence, we've got machine learning, we've got corporate finance, payments solutions, HR solutions, sales. We've got the skills in-house. People that have done this for 15, 20 years. But we also have access to lots of funders in the world. And what we do, we take that idea on board, we surround that entrepreneur with a brilliant team, and then we go to the investors and say, look, we've got this brilliant idea, come and invest in it. Because lots of investors come to me, and this is where Dean Ventures originated from, is because investors came to us and said, here's an entrepreneur who's got a brilliant idea. It's an amazing idea, but we think he's going to fail on execution. He won't be able to implement it. Zach, can you help? And that's where Dean Ventures was formed, because we suddenly realized, oh, okay, if we can help one entrepreneur, we can help 20 entrepreneurs, we can help 200 entrepreneurs.
Wow, and
Brilliant.
that's wonderful.
And I would also like to inquire if you are now providing the services, or rather venturing into the metaverse as well, but hold on to that thought. It's my favorite question lately. Moving on to you, Mr. Rana, you, I think, are the very right and appropriate person to answer this. From your lens of experience and a lot of practical work as well, how do you view the entrepreneurship culture or the startup culture in Pakistan? What do you think is missing, and where do you think we lack?
I think the first thing is absolutely that we really want to do it overnight.
It's true, yes.
And this is number one, to be honest. And the second is, if I am, for example, in an expert, subject matter expert in one area, I would not like to trespass in another area. If you need an expert in, for example, he was mentioning machine learning or advanced learning in the area of artificial intelligence or big data, we should have the ability to bring that subject matter expert on the table to evaluate the proposal.
All right.
Instead of everyone, we were just talking last night with some experts, and there is a cybersecurity terminology flies around like debris in our country.
Okay.
Everyone is an expert. So this issue number one. Number two is personal reliability assessment. Well, if I have to do something, I should know that I should do the best, at least. I should try, I should have the qualification, the training, environment, and most importantly, the tools to implement, because he's talking about execution. Where you fail is an execution. You bring something to me, I specialized in structured analysis and mitigation of risk. I would not like, I will assert on that if you bring something to me, I'll make sure meticulously in detail study it. So our entrepreneurs, the young entrepreneurs and these, the number one is this. Secondly, they ask for money right away. Oh, I need this much money.
Yeah.
The problem is, he will explain to you in the personal development side, which he really specializes, which I understand is that it is regarding less confidence in yourself, and you think money can solve all the problem. I can build a nice office in somewhere in Islamabad to give somebody, okay, go ahead, this is your money, say $1 lakh, go ahead and start it.
Yeah.
I can assure you in few months, do you find this guy somewhere else? First of all, he will buy a very nice car, then he will have a very 10 suits, then he will have a lot of other accessories before he start the business. It doesn't work in startup, exactly mean the opposite.
True.
That you are a startup. So I think it has to be not to fantasize.
Right.
It has to be really materialized by a sheer assessment of your capabilities, resources at hand, and then the right team.
We need a business intellectual.
Absolutely.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Interesting anecdote, actually. You know, startup actually means a startup. You are starting. You definitely don't need to have all the luxuries right away. Work on your work instead. But, Mr.
शादी
Janjua,
करा
over
दो
here-
मुंडे दी.
Yeah.
Settle ho jaye.
That's settle ho jaye.
Settle ho
And
jaye.
then also say the guy is not working, then shadi kar do.
शादी कर दो.
And then he will be okay.
Responsibility.
ठीक हो जाएगा.
ठीक हो जाएगा.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's problematic actually.
It is.
But Mr. Janjua, you mentioned that when you actually did go for your MBA, you had already learned all the things already because of your, your quest for learning and whatnot. So, gentlemen, this can be a question for both of you actually. Why do you think, or is it absolutely important to have a degree? You had all the knowledge, and you were a successful entrepreneur now. Why would you want to have a degree with your name?
Shall I go first?
Yeah, go first.
So on a
Because
personal,
unfortunately, I did these degrees, so
okay.
I'm the
Everyone-
less
we did
qualified
as
person.
well.
So I've been to university multiple times. Right?
Okay.
And I always encourage people to go to university first.
Okay.
University isn't just about sitting in a lecture room, listening to what the lecturer's got to say or the professor has to say, and then just sit in an exam. That's 10% of a university.
Okay.
A university is a safe environment where you can experiment, you can learn, you can grow mentally. And these are lifelong skills that carry you forward into the world of entrepreneurship. And if entrepreneurship isn't for you, it's also what you can do in corporations or working in the government. So let me give you a small example.
Sure.
My daughter studies law, right? She reads copious amounts of books, lots and lots and lots and lots of books. But she has to develop a skill where, having read 15, 20 different books, she has to distill everything down into one page. What is the most important argument that I need to put down? Now, that skill is a lifelong skill that's used. Where did she learn it? In the university. So there's lots of skills that you learn inside a university. So any student who's looking to become an entrepreneur, actually go to university, build these skills, take your degree really, really serious. Don't think for 1 minute that going to university is about sitting an exam and passing. No, it's not. As I said, that's 5 to 10%. The 90% is all the self-development that you require, how to interact with people. Here's an example. I can sit in a lecture room with Ranabe, okay? He struggles in a particular course. My job is to teach him this particular module.
Sure.
Now, that is mentoring, which is used a lot in the workplace. So it's a safe environment. So I will always encourage entrepreneurs that, there is a notion that says, You don't have to go to university. There is a school of thought, which I do agree with.
Yep.
There is credence behind that. But given a choice, I would always encourage my kids and everyone else listening to say, go to university.
And that's wonderful. Thank you very much for saying that, because I 100% agree to that, and what Rana Sahib even said prior to that as well. And that's something, Shiza, which we discussed on the show, that, you know, just before you actually about to start your own business, what you do is you rent a space, and you actually are going to appoint an associate as well, and that's it. And you haven't started earning from the very business you have in your mind as well. And when it comes down to university, I truly believe that it gives you discipline, it gives you personality development, it gives you presentation skills, and it gives you a lot of comprehension as well, you know, for whatever you're doing. And that's great. But now, sir, coming down to back to the point where we were talking about the Ventures and the Venture Studio as well, that any business idea you will be promoting or helping with will be having a social impact. That's the prerequisite for your the Ventures as well. What kind of social impact are we talking over here? And if there are people out there who actually kind of want to be in contact with you, how can they get in touch with you? But Ranasa wants to add something.
Yeah, because question was,
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
there was the one
I wanted to get
degree, that scope of it. You see, I agree with the degrees. For example, I had just degree 2020 in one advanced level master's.
Online?
Yes.
No.
2020 was COVID?
No. University of Rome from 19 to 2021.
Very nice.
So, but half module you have to go there. That is, since I was teaching actually, I just want to tell you why I did this degree, because I was visiting faculty and I looked at the module. It was very interesting. What I taught was one small subject in University of Rome, taught Vergata. Then suddenly it inspired me. I said, okay, I talked to the study board. They said, oh, you're part of the study board, but you have to take all these courses in person. So most of it we did in person.
Okay.
And the other thing which I would say everyone should really understand, in isolation, you cannot do business and all that. Your degree, your university going, learning, work ethics, social capital, networking, point A to point B contact, interacting with different people, different than you, different than your few family members. You come across every morning 50 different people, and you have to learn to engage them psychologically. Your behavior has to be mended. That's what the beauty of the educational institution is. From where we learn social capital. Look, your social capital, from where it came. Came from your school, your college, university, she's also yours, from your workplace, from your, anything you do. If you do not have the ability to interact your colleagues or your people working around you, and you have no ability to disciplinarily treat them respectfully and being treated as respectfully, that's the key to do anything in the world.
And I think that the universities really need to hire you, because you're a very good advocate for them as well.
Yeah, because
very well put.
education. You see, of course the first verse of Quran is Iqra.
Iqra, absolutely.
So this really changes everything. I mean, there is no age for getting degree. In here maybe, but not in the Western world. In the broader world, you learn cradle to grave, and that learning comes from anywhere.
Exactly, wonderful. So
go ahead,
So
please.
now coming back to the Ventures, Venture Studio, social impact, and how can people get in touch with you?
Well, look, Twitter's my point of contact. Zeconomics is my
Zeconomics.
Zeconomics.
Yes.
Unfortunately, my friends say I'm a social science in itself, so that's where the name comes from. But can I just talk a little bit about social impact, because it's so close to my heart. I think entrepreneurs, and this is the message I'll give to aspiring entrepreneurs and also parents, entrepreneurs rock the world. You look at Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, they've completely shifted the landscape of the world. So entrepreneurs have the ability to do great things. What I'll also point out, the social impact side is something that I believe is the next generation of entrepreneurship, because the whole purpose of commerce is to create economic activity, social activity, social peace. And I think the Islamic outlook to business is beautiful. You create an organization, that organization generates revenue, you give employment to people, they pay taxes. So there is prosperity in society in that respect. You then pay your taxes to the government. But ultimately, what you're doing is you're building a piece of technology, in my world at least, that solves societal issues. In the UK, which is where I'm from, we do have issues at the community level. There's hunger in the community. So, there's lots of investments we've recently made in food tech, where not only are they very successful businesses in their own right, but they're also solving hunger in the community.
Wow.
And if you can eradicate hunger in the community, that has a very
Quite a lot
profound
of
impact in
social
society. Yeah, I mean, there's other businesses where, in education, for instance, you know, you're helping young girls from disadvantaged backgrounds to go onto university and become lawyers and engineers, etc. So, for me, social impact is what gets me out of bed every morning, because I suddenly realize, hey, I'm actually making the world a better place. Well, at least I'm trying to. You know, if I'm successful or not, I don't know, but at least I've tried.
And it's wonderful. So thank you very much, Mrs. Zakria, for being with us. Thank you very much, Rana sir, for being with us. Lovely to have you over here.
very much.
And thank you very much for bringing Mr. Zakria to Pakistan as well. You know, I think it's great.
Thank you.
And whatever you're doing so far, you know, that too amongst the diaspora of Pakistani people with brilliant brains, you know, you're bringing them to Pakistan. And that's something which we certainly want. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if we all going to think that we're very visionary, I think we really need to kind of sit down once again, kind of rethink, unlearn, and then get back up as well and do something new to the world, which is going to have a social impact. And that too, you know, just to know that you're making this world a beautiful place, I think it's a great feeling.
Yeah, definitely. So we're heading out right now to a very short break. When we come back, we're going to be discussing something similar, but specifically in the IT sector, because our Premier, Imran Khan Sahab, actually predicts that Pakistan's IT sector is going to have at least like $50 billion in exports in the coming years. Let's see how that's going to work out for us. Just stay tuned. Good morning.
Good morning.
You are watching PTV World.
Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen. With me, I have the very informative Shahzad Khan. I happen to be Shahzad Hashmi. And in the first segment, we spoke about entrepreneurship in general and a startup culture in Pakistan, how to improve yourself as a new entrepreneur. We gave out some tips as well. And right now, I think we're going to do similar, but something very specific as well.
Exactly, because ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking about digitalizing as well and how the economy these days, you know, even if we talk about online purchases, we talk about YouTube, we talk about anything. Majority of these startups are actually interlinked with the information technology and the industry itself, and the government is actually giving us a lot of favors. How, why, and when can we get that is something which we will be getting or looking answers for as well. And the gentleman I'm going to introduce, that's exactly how I would want to age, probably next 10 years as well, as handsome as he can be. Not just with the looks, I think with the brain as well, because he happens to be a very seasoned entrepreneur himself. And once again, obviously providing opportunities to a lot of Pakistanis out there. Now it's up to them whether to kind of seize this opportunity. You know, there's this song, And I would rather come back to the song some other time as well.
Okay.
But it's about time that we introduce him, ladies and gentlemen. We're very lucky that we've actually been joined by Mr. Ghufran Usman, who happens to be the sales director and advisor board member at TEO International. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, how are you?
Walaikum assalam, I'm very good. And
Thank you very much for joining us.
thank you for having me here.
So the best part is that Mr. Ghufran Usman, ladies and gentlemen, were born to Pakistani parents as well, and we're lucky that you're here and you want to do something really very amazing for Pakistanis, and you want to bring in the business to Pakistan as well, and you want to fulfill a lot of corporate social responsibilities. So all three of them, how are you going to do that?
So we've been in the Pakistani IT industry for 2 decades now.
Yep.
Okay.
Not only with TEO, but with companies before that as well, which are going well and still active in Islamabad and serving European clients.
Yep.
So TEO, Talented Earth Organization, we established in 2007.
Yep.
We got around 200 employees. So we are not a company, we are actually rather a community.
Okay.
And with community, it brings responsibility. We don't employ resources. We work with people,
Okay.
right? So having said that, we got a very, very strong hold in ethics in our company. We don't work with sex, porn, gambling, interest-based businesses,
Fake degrees.
which is very strange for a Scandinavian-based company.
Okay.
Yeah, and the best part is that being born to Pakistani parents, having learned that culture, being an active part of the Danish software industry,
Yeah.
it actually gives me a foot in the both cultures,
All right.
which I have been used, and our CEO has been used to establish our company successfully in Pakistan.
And that's great. You know, we certainly want that. And you know, wherever anybody can take advantage of being a Pakistani, I think you certainly need to bring back good name, or probably take it wherever you're going out in the world as well. But now, sir, you know, whenever we talk about businesses, I think that the first ever rule of business is that, okay, what can we get out of whatever we are doing? So, you know, before you bring back, you know, good name to Pakistan, you're bringing business to Pakistan, obviously there's something for you in it and for all those people who actually run the company itself. So that's great. But now, this time around, we see a lot of people coming back to Pakistan and kind of trying to surf in the information technology industry, that too within Pakistan, because the government is allowing us to do so. And that's something which we wanted to see. We wanted to grow in this era and in this sphere as well. How well do you think that the government policies are coming out where it is very conducive for people like you, people like Mr. Zakri as well, to come in and then explore and then give more opportunities to Pakistanis?
Exactly.
That was a good question. Yeah.
There's a boom in the software industry worldwide.
Yep.
Yeah.
And most of the markets, the traditional IT markets, they are consumed.
Yep.
So we have a huge opportunity in Pakistan that it's not an opportunity, we actually have an obligation
Okay.
to tap into this opportunity.
Yes.
And I think that the government should be able to help us more
Yeah.
by tax reliefs and so on.
Right.
But on top of that, making the process for foreign or overseas Pakistanis, make it easier for them to establish a company in Pakistan.
All right.
Well-
What are the difficulties in the first place for
Oh my
overseas
God.
Pakistanis? Let's
Well-
get into that.
I think that the bureaucracy,
Yeah.
being born in Denmark or
Yeah.
in a Western country, it's very easy. You got some certain steps to establish a company.
And you can do it while sitting at home.
Yeah, on the internet, right? Here, I don't know where to begin.
All
So
right,
you're
I
saying the
totally get
process
that.
is complicated, and definitely we have heard a similar sentiment from a lot of other businessmen as well. I would like to have your insight on how that can be relaxed, because just yesterday a lot of my freelancer friends were really happy they were getting tax exemptions and tax relaxations in their work as well.
Yeah.
But they still had more demands. So first of all, I want you to address that. Secondly, since we're short on time, I really wanted to ask you this. Learning about your company, it was really inspiring for me to learn that you, being a Pakistani as well, trained and then employed and then stayed with a lot of people, more than 100, who are now working for different companies.
Exactly.
But then you said you started with one and eventually now you're an owner of 4 of those companies as well. Does that mean people working with you should be threatened?
No, not at all.
I don't know how to
Feels
put
like
it.
Shark Tank.
I
No,
mean,
no.
yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
we are just having one company right now. The
Okay.
other has been spinned off,
Okay.
bought off from other companies as well,
Okay.
also from Denmark. But the thing is that I don't think that anybody should be threatened by somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The risk, it comes from Allah.
True.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And you just have to do your best to achieve what you want.
Exactly.
But that actually comes with a responsibility.
Exactly.
So if you capitalize on Pakistani talent, you have to give something back to the the Pakistani society as well.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And in our case, we do it by scholarships.
True.
We have 100 plus scholarships.
MashaAllah.
Nice.
And the second thing we do, because once the graduates graduate from the universities, there's a big gap from what industry needs and what they come with. So we have established something we call the IRP, Industry Readiness Program, which I think that the academia should actually tap into. And we would be very happy to get in touch with some of the bigger universities so we can tell them what the need are in the industry. So once you graduate, you're ready for the industry.
Exactly.
And
So
that is the need of the hour, right?
exactly. So it's like bridging that gap, which we always talk that
Yeah.
academia and the job industry really need to have links. So IRP, ladies and gentlemen, can be a discipline which we can probably teach students in the last 2 semesters. If not only one. Now, sir, towards the end, what I would certainly want to talk about is that even prior to you, in the first segment we talked about corporate social responsibility and having a social impact. You're having it in a very different way. So, there's this application you guys have built. Would you mind telling us a little about that?
Yeah, first of all, there was this scholarship program, right?
Yep.
But secondly, from an Islamic point of view, we have made an application called My Masjid,
Yep.
Oh, nice.
which is running in more than 300 masajids, including Faisal Masjid.
Wow.
So what we do is actually, nowadays people are short of time.
Yep.
You cannot sit there wait for the azan, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we actually tell the muezzin when to make the azan.
Okay.
At the same time, we give a notification to the prayers
Yeah.
that now
the
it's
muezzin,
time
yeah.
to
Wow. And
to
it's
get
for
in.
free.
It's for free.
And,
Wow.
and you certainly are fulfilling your corporate social responsibility, but nobody thought about this idea prior to you, I guess. And that's a great thing to do. And I hope that one day we can actually do it all together rather than sending notifications to people after every single minute. Hey, you know what? According to you, is your prayer time.
Your prayer time. But definitely a very unique idea and a newer one in market as well. But coming back to where I wanted you to sort of let a lot of people know how they can fix the problems with the process of registering a business, then starting a business. Because you know what? We have a lot of overseas Pakistanis on our show, and the response we get from our audiences is it is easier for them to have a business. Call a Pakistani businessman so we can know.
Exactly.
So do you want to address that?
I'm not able to address that because it's not me who has done it, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
but what I hear from our admin staff
Okay.
is that the process are quite tedious.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
right.
It is quite tedious, and for all of those people who are out there, who are listening to us today, if you happen to be one of those people working in those offices, please make sure you do that, because we have dropped in the numbers when we talk about ease of business within that index as well. But so very quickly, how do you think that people are going to be in touch with you when they think that they might have a very brilliant idea? And in addition to that, since my producer is not telling me that the time's up, now obviously a lot of companies are moving on to cloud platforms. And
Exactly.
for the very first time, even Garage Cloud platform has been launched over in Pakistan. A lot of companies are providing securities to all of these cloud platforms as well, and it happens to be a $500 billion industry world over. How do you think that we can cater to that,
Crazy.
because Pakistan's relatively new to it?
Yeah, I think along one of those government policies, right? The government is actually looking ahead for. They have to upgrade themselves.
Yep.
This digital transformation, using the cloud, and putting these companies like us in play, that would be the way of
Forward.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
think so.
Yeah.
I was just listening to Mr. Athar and Mr. Zakaria before regarding success
Yeah.
and these youngsters who are eager. And I think there's one thing that once you are fresh out of university, you forget. You cannot get into an elevator and press a button to success.
Yeah.
You have to climb every single step,
Absolutely.
feel the texture beneath your feet. That is your learning, right?
Wonderful.
Wow,
And
that's
thank you very
beautiful.
much for saying that, because I kind of keep on saying that to a lot of people, because when I, for the very first time, premiered on television, I thought that, hey, you know what, tomorrow there will be a lot of people asking for my autograph or selfies and whatnot. And
That's
it
so
took
cute.
me
Yeah.
12 to 13 years every single day learning and realizing what texture I'm standing on as well.
Yeah.
And that kind of helps as well. So if you have a passion, you first of all really need to answer this question yourself, whether you want to do it. If you commit to it, give it your 200%.
Right,
Exactly.
definitely. So, but thank you so much for being with us. It was
I'm
definitely a
obliged.
learning procedure
Thank you very
for a lot
much.
of people out there too.
Yeah,
so
we
thank you for
still
doing
need to
that.
discuss your skin routine and your diet, all right?
Let's
That's how
have
I
an
want to
entire
end.
segment on that. I have a lot of
Yeah.
questions. But
You're
all
welcome.
right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know, it is our responsibility more than that. It is our duty as well to bring the right kind of information to you for all of you to learn. We want Pakistan to be a knowledge-based country before a knowledge-based economy, because economics comes later and a human and the ethics comes before that. So till the next time, take care of yourselves. Make sure to write to us. Your feedback really matters on all our social media pages with the name of.
Well, this morning,
Yes, and the repeat of this show you will be able to catch at
5 past midnight. Till the next time, look after yourselves. And if you have a great business idea, please make sure. If you certainly don't want to write to TEO or Mr. Zakaria Deen Ventures, just write to us and we will make sure that we will be your voice as well. Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good
morning.
morning.